Take a test shot, Dave, ready? Yeah, it's right.
So, from shooting
Whatever,
in the
right.
archway or the castle gateway, we moved down onto the main street, which I think possibly is the high street,
Just getting the
and
attention
then
there.
did a couple of shots there with a moving car, and then also went down a tiny little small road, which is on quite a steep hill, and I shot back up it, which gave a nice view, and also it was very sheltered. The sun was really quite strong, which lit Millie up quite nicely. And we utilised the yellow lines on the road and the old tarmac and some of the old buildings behind. Then Millie went and got changed into the next dress, and a new model appeared, which was it was quite cool, all ready to go. And yeah, the next shot from that is coming now, which is has a bit of humour attached to it. So there you go. We named her Gary after that, which was just a bit of humour, but it was quite funny. We then did a couple of other shots outside a house with a lovely front door and a nice big holly bush, and then we moved up to the top of the first tower of Lewes Castle and started shooting there.
That looks awesome with that background. Yeah, I need to go over here. It's fine. It's fine. Right, Dave, I'm going to need a little bit of light. Probably here. Do not drop it over the side because you'll owe me a lot of money.
Sure.
Not for stupidity.
Oh.
So about there, just to get a bit of punch onto her face.
Do I need to clamp her in anymore? She's too loose.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Do you feel too loose? I'm not loose.
I was going to say.
The dress. The dress, not you.
Literally, I wasn't the only one thinking of it.
Yeah, that feels nice. Yeah, but just that's it. Hold it because it's
Yeah, that's really good.
a little bit.
So we took a few more pictures up on the roof with a different model as well, and then we moved downstairs one floor in the tower and got a few shots there, and then moved on again. I don't like to hang around in one place for too long, just because the sort of atmosphere gets a bit stale. There's only a certain amount of sort of shots you can get from a roof on top of a castle, so it was a case of move downstairs, carry on, do a few shots there, and then find somewhere else. And it's the best way of getting shots that look different and fresh all the way through the day. So for anybody who is interested, I was using the Sony A7R Mark II, and for the majority of the time I was using the Zeiss Batis 85mm f1.8, shooting at f1.8 most of the day. I also then swapped to the Samyang 135 f2 lens, which is amazing. It's super sharp. It is a fully manual lens though, and there is no electronics connected to the lens at all. So it is down to you. But when you get it right, it is absolutely stonking, and I got some of the best shots of the day using that lens, so it really does help. We're using the rotolight aeos as the fill-in light, which is brilliant. Using it on flash and as in LED mode, so as a lamp and as a flash unit, using the Pixel King Pro wireless high speed sync triggers straight from the A7R2's hot shoot to the rotolight aeos, and that just worked flawlessly all day. The rotolight aeos, actually, I got it home later on and it had been on for 6 hours with a mixture of flash and LED lamp, and it had only gone down 2 bars of power out of the 5 or 6 I think it's got. I think it's 5. So that was an amazing piece of kit. So that just shows you how versatile it is. I also had the Zeiss Batis 25mm f2 lens with me as well, which I used on a few of the images, which is sharp as it's a fabulous lens. The benefits of the Zeiss Batis lenses is they have an OLED screen on them, and people just think it's a bit of a gimmick, but actually what it does, it shows you the distance you are from your focus point, and also the depth of field difference between the front and rear of your subject. So if you're shooting at f1.8 for example, or f2, and you're quite close or whatever, you can see without even taking the photo what your depth of field is going to be at the front of the image and the back of the image. So for example, if you're doing a headshot, your depth of field could be 1 or 2 centimeters at the front and 3 or 4 centimeters behind, depending on where your focus point is. So you can take that into consideration if you need to stop the lens down slightly to get a little bit more depth, or move back to get a little bit more depth. And it really helps, especially if you're focusing on the eyes. If you're that shallow, the tip of the nose is going to be out, or the ears are going to be out of focus. So you've got to be a little bit aware of that. And if it helps you get the shots in one go rather than taking 3 or 4, or not even noticing until later on, it's brilliant.
Well, we could throw the leaves up. That'd be fucking
nice.
cool.
Yeah,
Got
looking away, that looks nice with your hair.
We've got a load of dry leaves here. Could just chuck them up in the air in front, like behind her, like confetti, but not. So we stood on. If you stand under the tree, you like to walk.
Yep.
We go under where there's colour. If you go there and sort of like against the wall, but stand into the leaves. Stand in the leaves. Yeah, yep. Come this way a little bit. That'd be cool. Yeah. Do you want to spray her out and we can? Yeah. It's cool colours, isn't it? Lots of lovely colours. And if between the two of you, grab a load of leaves behind, and literally just chuck them up so they sprinkle down behind her. I can put this.
Try not to get dirt.
Yeah.
Just get leaves up.
So throw leaves behind. Don't have to be there anyway. So I'm going to be shooting. You go down. Let's grab some leaves.
Oh, you want me to do leaves as well, yeah?
Yeah.
So after being in the castle for a while, we went back to the room we had use of. The girls obviously got ready, had a few refreshments. We then went back up the hill to where we originally started, went slightly further, and there was like I think it was a bowls green or something like that, and a very small sort of road that followed around the outside edge. And we did a few shots there. There was a load of dry leaves, and it was kind of hundreds of dry leaves all been swept or blown into a certain area. So we thought, yeah, we've got to use that. So the colours were amazing. The background was really nicely lit by the sun. We were in the shade, so we used the rotolight aeos to light the model up, and also to freeze the leaves in the air as they fell. So yeah, Dave and Amelia threw the leaves up, and I lay down on the ground using the Samyang 135 f2 manual lens for this, and it's cracking, really cracking. Very simple shot to do, and it worked really well. And just lucky for the light in the background, actually, because I think if there was no light in the background, it would have been quite a dull shot. But the sun was still out. It was just above the castle still, so it was just lighting. We then went back, and the sun was starting to go by now, so we had a quick rush to try and utilize as much natural sunlight as possible with the aeos as well to balance the image, and we just about got finished. So on part 3 there is going to be the last few shots that we did as the sun went, which I actually really love. The sun was still up, but actually, because the buildings, we're in a town, so the buildings were quite high, but the sun was creeping through in a couple of places, and we sort of just about utilized those areas, and the light just softened up nicely. We got some fantastic long shadows, and yeah, it worked really well. So anyway, yeah, watch part 3 that's coming soon.